to Early Childhood Learning Bites. Heidi Mendenhall, your guest host. We are going to dive into code switching. So we've been talking about dual language learning, multilingual learning, and a really critical aspect of this is supporting code switching. So code switching is the notion that you alternate between languages in a fluid manner. So somebody might say, yo tengo milk, por favor. And so I have code switched from Spanish to English back to Spanish. Now, this happens very naturally, very fluidly throughout the day. Anybody that's learning a second language, and even if you're kind of learning a different maybe language register, like from professional to your family language, you code switch back and forth. You do this on a natural basis. We have historically thought that potentially code switching was actually detrimental to learning the language. No, there's many reasons for this. I think intuitively maybe we thought, but if you're not just doing it all the way, the right way, that somehow we were not supporting the most beneficial and efficient language learning. What we now know is that is false. And so any beliefs out there around code switching being not supportive and productive to our developing language learners, which is really all of our learners, is just not true. And so one thing that we can do as early child professionals as we support our children who learn a language other than English at home or in the school is just promote language as it comes. And that means code switching, making an environment that is open to all language usage in the moment and utilizing language to get their needs met, which code switching does. So when you look back to the example that I shared, like yo tengo milk, por favor, if I know some kind of template language like I need and please, but I don't know all of the either nouns or adjectives or even maybe more complex academic language in that second language, which for me, Spanish is my second language, but potentially it could be English that would be the second language. If I don't know all of those other words, I can get my message across and then just put in that word that I don't know in the language that I do know, code switch it, right? Sometimes we code switch and we're even utilizing that to reinforce language we're learning. So like, are we practicing these kind of template sentences or phrases, these common phrases that we know? And in that case, code switching is really giving us an opportunity to utilize and repeat the language to be more comfortable and more fluent and more confident in it. So code switching also happens as adults, even after you are completely fluent in the language. And that's another thing we want to support. And as early childhood professionals, we can promote our staff to code switch. Now, here's another place where we previously believed that you really only needed a full language model in your best language. But we now know that by code switching, you're showing value and appreciation for diversity of language, and you're offering just a nugget of something for that language learner to hook to in their brain. So if you do know any words in a child's home language, then code switching to utilizing those words provides an opportunity for them to really focus in on what you're saying and then take in the world around them and provide those visual and environmental cues to hopefully fill in some of that other context and understand what it is. So code switching is actually really valuable for both the child and the provider and educator. Again, this isn't what we always thought, and so often you might be met with some resistance from families or teachers or educators or maybe even yourself. And so what I invite you to do is to practice code switching. Find a new language you aren't proficient in, learn one or two words, and see if you can code switch throughout the day using those words. And just notice what it does for you. My guess is it's going to open up your brain, it's going to make you think a little bit differently, and it might even engage those around you in a different way. Also, when you're talking to families about language learning, be mindful that code switching could be something that they have thought of as negative or taught as negative, and be curious about that and just lean into what they're thinking and open to how you can support their needs at the same time expressing that code switching is a really beneficial opportunity for our students learning a second language or a third language or a fourth language. For more on code switching, I invite you to check out some of the online SECO modules specifically on dual language learners. And if you're interested in more in-person conversation, then we invite you to schedule a training that can focus specifically on family and culture and second language acquisition. We talk a lot about code switching, and it's a great opportunity to really pull apart some of those biases we have. Until then, thank you for doing the work you do.